Thus, we concentrate on Hurricane Melissa and its after effects. The rumble of large machinery, the whine of chainsaws, the chopping of machetes echoing through communities across the northern Caribbean this Thursday as they dug themselves out from the destruction of Hurricane Melissa and assess the damage left by the catastrophic storm. In Jamaica, the recovery has begun among shell-shocked communities. Some are still underwater, all accounting for the cost of the biggest storm to hit the island since records began. Cuba, too, has been badly affected. The city of Santiago de Cuba was directly in the path of the hurricane, which, by the time it reached Cuba, had reduced from Category 5 to Category 3, but nonetheless still caused widespread damage, as you can see, as it cut its way across the island, moving on towards the Bahamas. Humanitarian aid for Jamaica has been pledged, with the UK government promising around €3 million to help. Yinka Oyatade here at France 24 has a close-up look at the situation. Her report starts in Jamaica's Black River district, where most roofs of homes have been ripped off by winds of up to 300 kilometres per hour.
This is the impact of the strongest storm to hit the planet this year. Homes without roofs, others barely left standing, many destroyed altogether. On the ground, the scale of the devastation is clear as residents begin the painful task of picking up the pieces.
I wish I could explain the pain. Don't know. But it's just like your stomach just burst.
The hurricane forced some to contemplate making unthinkable choices.
If we had stayed, we'd have died. Because I have 1, 2, 3, and the baby and the little girl. And thinking about it, had to choose one, would it be nice?
Authorities say 90% of roofs in the coastal community of Black River have been destroyed. Hardly any left standing in the city of Montego Bay too. A massive cleanup is now underway, largely led by residents themselves. 77-year-old Alfred Hines wades barefoot through thick mud and debris, grateful just to be alive.
When the water rise and me realize, well, it get serious, me try and make me escape. At one stage, I see the water at my waist, and about 10 minutes time, I see it around my neck here, and I make my escape.
Alfred is one of an estimated 400,000 people affected by Hurricane Melissa. More than 25,000 remain crowded into shelters across western Jamaica, with 72% of the island still without power and only a third of mobile phone networks back online.
Let's get more and bring in Tommaso Della Longa from the International Federation of the Red Cross. Tommaso, thank you for joining us. The images in the report, heartbreaking. The testimony from people affected by this, it really does make you feel incredibly sad for the people in Jamaica and the people affected across the Caribbean. And I'm wondering, your organisation at times like this does such great work. What can you do? What's underway? Give us a sense of what hope people have there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me tonight. But the situation, as you correctly pointed out, also in the footage that you've shown, it's really catastrophic. We are talking about very severe damages to infrastructure, even hospitals, talking about schools, bridges, roads. So of course, the situation is very complicated. Now, if we're talking about hope, I would say that the first thing to highlight is that the anticipatory action, the early warning system, saved lives. And we saw it in these days because the fact that the Red Cross, of course, together with other organizations, local authorities, were able to evacuate people and put them far from danger was very important. And if you look at the death toll, I think this is a good news. Now, reality is that time for recovery it's already started. Of course, some areas are still hard to reach, but humanitarian aid is coming. When the airport will be reopened again, we already have a couple of cargoes ready to come from Panama directly to Jamaica. And again, speaking about hope, anticipatory action, again, save lives. We're able to preposition stocks in the weeks and months before to train more than 400 volunteers that were able to serve their communities before, during, and now in emergency mode.
It's such a difficult thing to get your head around, to really understand from afar, to be in the position that those people are in right now. Many of them have lost their homes. They're happy and rejoicing that they've still got their families. And it is remarkable that the death toll has been so low. But these people have so little. How does that rebuilding process begin? And once again, I'll say, you're here and you're talking to us, so this is in no way blaming you, because you're doing great work to try to help them. Who else needs to get involved? Clearly governments need to, clearly international organisations need to actually get the supplies there and the money there that they need to rebuild.
Well, absolutely. The reality here is that few minutes or few hours or few days, in this case of a storm, will completely destroy life of people. Because if it's true that many people were safe with shelters and so on, it's also true that to rebuild their own life, their own livelihoods, their own normalcy will take months, if not years. And we have also to remember that Jamaica, as well as other countries in the area, were hit less than 2 years ago by Hurricane Beryl. So some of those communities were on their knees. They were trying to stand up, and again another hurricane arrived. So here it's really critical to have international solidarity. This is also why our organization launched actually yesterday a 19 million Swiss franc emergency appeal to assist 180,000 people only in Jamaica. Other appeals will come for Cuba and the other affected countries. Reality here is that it's a team effort. It's not a one organization, one institution who can do the work, and it will take time. We're looking at I would say at a marathon, not as a sprint, because needs are already huge. Damages we can see from this footage, but the reality is that the clearer picture will come in the next hours and days, and sadly it could be way worse.
Indeed. I mean, the death toll, as high as 52, some reports are saying. Clearly at this stage, new things will come to light, and let's hope that there are no more deaths to be recorded. But certainly the damage, Tommaso, as you've just been speaking about, it is massive. And trying to reconstruct amid all of that, with all that around, is incredibly difficult. How do you begin helping people in that sense? Where do you start?
Well, you start from life-saving items. I mean, I know that is kind of counterintuitive when you see a lot of water around, but water and clean water is very, very important and very difficult to find in this kind of situation. So bringing water, bringing food, bringing hygiene kits, bringing, tarpaulins, blankets, all these kind of, let's say, life-saving items that you need in the first emergency phase. Then, in parallel, you need to work immediately. And actually, we started before the storm arrived, the hurricane arrived, on mental health and psychological support. We had volunteers and staff who were trained in what we call the psychological first aid, because people, again, on their knees, they have, of course, huge fear, huge concerns, and working on mental health since the beginning is really important. And then the recovery phase needs to start immediately after, so I would say in the next coming weeks. And the recovery phase, as we saw in Bahamas, in Bangladesh, in other countries of the world, must have a part of, creating a safer, safe space, working on antipoderoid reaction, replenishing all the preposition stocks, because we know, sadly, by experience, that these kind of hurricanes will come back, hopefully not at this level of severity, and communities need to be prepared.
Speed of the essence, but of course it needs to be directed in the right ways, and that's what you're about, Thomas. So thank you very much indeed for giving us that sense of the hope that the people of Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean can have in the wake of what happened with Hurricane Melissa. Tommaso Della Longa is from the International Federation of the Red Cross. Thank you, sir, as always, for joining us here in France 24. We appreciate your time, and good luck to you and all your team working so hard to help people there stricken by Hurricane Melissa in the Caribbean. Tommaso, thanks for being with us.